it's great to be back with you and feel your presence and be learning with you. I'm just going to take a moment to get up an image. We'll have a meditation and a special feature to it today as well, but just give me a moment to get the slide up for you. Prepare for our meditation exercise, which will lead into the presentation proper. I wanted to use this particular sacred diagram. You may recognize it as one of the traditional Rosicrucian Jacob Boehme's sacred diagrams. It's a symbol from his book, The Threefold Life. And the diagram applies Kabbalistic, zodiacal, and alchemical symbolism in his own unique and adapted way. You notice at the very center, there is the symbol Yod-He Vah-He, the tetragrammaton, representing the totality of everything. Let us bear this in mind as we use this as part of our meditation exercise today. Indeed, this diagram is a comprehensive symbol of the corresponding interior and exterior worlds. So our interior world, but also our exterior world. In a way, you're looking at yourself in this diagram, or a map of yourself. Just to fill this in a little more, I think now you're seeing the zodiacal signs labeled around the diagram. This gives further the sense of this as a macrocosm. Taking it further and labeling the symbolism, you notice there's various astronomical bodies, traditional planets, and their symbols going down from the top: Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, the Sun, Venus, Mercury, Moon, and Earth. But we also notice that under the Sun, it is labeled the fire and the heavenly tincture, and the number 3 with the cross through the horizontal and vertical bars and their meeting point at the center to make the 3. And then again, the triangle with the tetragrammaton and the tremendous rays of energy coming off from that center of our being in the center of the cosmos, which gives rise to all manifestations. And we see a similar light radiating from the sun, matching that great center sun. In a way, we have an invisible sun within us, and we'll keep these things in mind. Further, you'll notice that there's various, in smaller letters, various numbers, starting at the top with 0, then 10, and going around to a right angle 90, and then at the bottom 180, and then 270, and up to 360. We notice there what in astronomy and applied astronomy is called azimuth, measured in degrees. In the north, we have 0 degrees or 360. The east off to our right as we look at it, 90, south at the 180, west at the 270. Keep this in mind because we're going to apply these matters when we do our mystical exercise and meditation. One thing that's very intriguing about this diagram is, you note on first quick glance, it appears to have a series of concentric circles, but on a closer examination, it's not actually concentric circles, it's a spiral. And you notice as we come down here by Cancer in the south, there's a great winding that goes on as we come around, as we make that first full revolution about the center of the tetragrammaton. We've come to the Earth, but we also pass by Saturn, and we go around again. We come to Jupiter and keep going around again. We come to the Moon, and from the Moon, we move up to Mars, and we come down again to Mercury, and then from Mercury, we come back up to the Sun, and then come down again, Venus. And as we come up, we come to Fire, and come around again, come to the heavenly tincture, spiraling in. We come to the cross and the number 3 as we move in, and finally come in towards the center where the tetragrammaton is. And by that time, we've made 9 revolutions, which we can add 1 in the sense to go to the very center, the 10 to give the decad. So you notice there's a spiraling in a counterclockwise fashion. Bear this in mind because we're going to use this to spiral around our heart when we do our meditation. Now for Jacob Boehme, and following the Kabbalistic and zodiacal and alchemical symbolism that he's adapted in a certain way, made his own, there's various symbolism that we learn through traditional mysticism and through the Rosicrucian teachings for the different planetary symbols and the heavenly tincture and the tetragrammaton, our studies in Kabbalah through the Rosicrucian order and closely allied traditional Martinist order, and heavenly tincture as various meanings, but part of that is that divine substance which gives rise to an enlightened being. So in a way, what we see here is what some would call a mandala in the broad sense. That's which gives rise to enlightened beings. Or to use a term developed by Giuseppe Tucci in his book, Theory and Practice, the Mandala from 1970, it's a psychocosmogram. Now that's a big word to refer to our inner psychological nature, but also matching as an inner world, matching the entirety of creation. So you see that, and this is part of what Jacob Boehme mentioned or spoke of in earlier centuries in his book, The Threefold Life. Now, Boehme's teachings are quite involved, and I'll give you a reference after this presentation if you want to see the particular section of The Threefold Life where he describes this diagram and this mystical meditation exercise. It's not so common, particularly in the West, to have a meditation exercise given it in a book that's been made available to the public. But if one is vigilant looking, often you'll discern where these have been given. I know today we'll often think, well, the meditation method is okay. Step one, very succinct step. Statement two, very succinct statement. What you do next. Step three, succinct statement. And often in the past, they've not been presented that way. You have to be very vigilant and be on the lookout for when their spiritual techniques are being given. Often they be passed orally to those who are sufficiently prepared and worthy. But to give us a deeper sense of this diagram and the meditation we're about to do, it's very interesting that in the book, The Signature of All Things by Jacob Boehme, in a preface, and I'll give you the reference for this later in the group chat through Karen, there's a beautiful summing up by the translator of the book that I'd like to read to you in adapted language. And this gives you, in a way, a succinct and poignant overview of the traditional Rosicrucian and Master Mystic Jacob Boehme's mystical philosophy and experience. This book is a true mystical mirror of the highest wisdom. The best treasure we can attain unto in this world is true knowledge, even the knowledge of ourselves. For the human is the great mystery of the divine, the microcosm or the complete abridgment of the whole universe. You are the memorandum de opus, God's masterpiece, a living emblem and hieroglyphic of eternity and time. And therefore, to know whence you are and what your temporal and eternal being and well-being are, must needs be that one necessary thing to which all our chief study should aim, and in comparison of which all the wealth of this world is but dross and a loss to us. Okay, brothers and sisters and participants, let us prepare for this meditation, taking in one last time this beautiful diagram from the Master Mystic and Traditional Rosicrucian, Jacob Boehme, for our deep edification on the meaning and purpose of life. Now, when you're ready, I invite you to close your eyes, and we're going to ascend to the heights of the celestial sanctum. And when we reach there, we'll dwell in peace profound, and then we'll do the great winding of the heart that is shown in the sacred diagram we've been just discussing. It's a very potent exercise, and I think you'll find it very helpful in radiating love and well-being, and I'll explain more as we ascend to the heights of the celestial sanctum. So now, with your eyes closed, feet flat on the floor, palms in your laps, face down, legs at right angles, spine upright, your great cosmic axis of the temple of the body upright. Take some few deep neutral breaths using the Rosicrucian terminology, either holding the inhalation or holding the exhalation. Enjoy the beautiful rhythm that is our gift in this life. Meditation is a very enjoyable action, a very enriching one. These breaths and their rhythmic action help attune us with all the vibrations that are on what the Rosicrucians call the cosmic keyboard, all the vibrations that give rise to all manifestation in the physical and beyond. These are all guided through what the Rosicrucians refer to as the cosmic. The cosmic is all the natural and spiritual laws and the divine intelligence back of the cosmos and giving rise to it and helping guide it, and indeed our being and nature. Take a few deeper breaths than you're used to and enjoy slow exhalation if it's comfortable for you, particularly through your nostrils if that's okay for you. This forces the air and its various constituent chemical elements to go deep in our lungs with the cosmic essence of the vital life force helping charge your body. I think you'll feel a very invigorating, tingling sensation in your body. Not the sensation that's sometimes referred to colloquially as feeling like stitches or needles in the body, like when a part of the body is so-called fall asleep from lack of oxygen, but the exact opposite, being enriched by the oxygen and the vital life force. Feel yourself increasingly as a light being, a being of light, as the Master Jacob Boehme spoke of. Now let's prepare to ascend to the heights of the celestial sanctum. To do this, we'll use a special prayer and invocation that comes from past Imperator Ralph M. Lewis's book, The Sanctuary of Self, chapter 12, which I'll give you the reference for. And let us say together inwardly, may the divine essence of the cosmic cleanse me of all impurities of mind and body, that I may commune with the celestial sanctum. May my mortal consciousness be so enlightened that any imperfections of my thinking may be revealed to me. And may I be given the power to correct them. I humbly petition that I may perceive the fullness of nature and partake thereof, ever consistent with the cosmic good. So be it in truth. So mote it be. Now in your mind, rise up from the room or the area where you are, up above the house and the dwelling. Enjoy the exhilaration and the freedom of the ascent. Rise up higher and see the geographic area where you are, maybe a large woods or field, or maybe a town or a city. Take in the beauty of your surroundings, how it's laid out. Rise up over the city or geographic area where you are, and continue to rise up over the state or the province where you are, and go faster and faster. Use a great deal of inner energy and strength. Not so much of an outer physical nature, but use those vast infinite resources within yourself. This should be an exhilarating experience, one that doesn't tire the outer self, but uses the great resources associated with the God within, the Master within. And as you rise higher and higher, take in your nation and the great weather systems below, and see any mountainous regions or rivers and lakes, and radiate love and well-being down on your nation as you rise up higher and take in the continent where you live. And ultimately go higher and higher and see the hemisphere, either the northern or southern hemisphere where you dwell. Now take in the entirety of the earth, the sphere or blade spheroid, the beautiful blue jewel of the earth. And radiate down love and well-being to all sentient beings on the earth. Envelop it with great wellness and encouragement. Use the great inner resources that you have that are a gift, associated with the God within, which in actuality you are one with. And now rise up higher and higher and take in the great system and order of the solar system where you live. See the beautiful red planet Mars, for example, the great rings of Saturn, and the huge planet Jupiter. And then see the great fiery ball of the sun, that our planets rotate about in wonderful harmony, and start to take in the harmony of the spheres, the great inner music of the cosmos, further up on the cosmic keyboard. And now continue beyond the solar system and enjoy further exhilaration and rejuvenation of this ascent as we come further and further deep within ourselves and as we rise higher and higher in the cosmos at the same time. Start to take in various other stellar phenomena in addition to our sun. See quasars and pulsars and black holes and great jets shooting out from some of them. Take in binary stars, the white dwarfs and the red giants, and all the myriad stellar phenomena that are quite inspiring in all the system and order of our Milky Way galaxy. And now as you zoom faster and faster than the speed of light for to transcend time and space now, and start to take in the great spiraling arm of the Milky Way galaxy, which is our home. Start to sense the great arms of the Milky Way galaxy as we pass out from it and look back at its beautiful symmetry as it spirals about its center, or rotates about its center, just as our Earth rotates about the sun, and as our Earth rotates about its axis. And start to take in a myriad other stars and nebulae and galaxies, some spiraling galaxies similar to our Milky Way. See a beautiful range of colors and vibrations and sense the various life forces throughout the universe. And move faster and faster, far beyond the speed of light, and take in myriad galaxies and now super clusters of galaxies. Enjoy the great wonder and awe of it all, both in a childlike way, but also in our mature adult way. And sense further and further, not only the cosmos, this great ordered universe that Pythagoras spoke of, but also more deeply when he spoke of the traditional Rosicrucian teaching, speaking of the cosmic, the divine intelligence back of all these actions and operations around us. As you take in more and more of the super clusters of galaxies, start to sense their great revolving motion about a cosmic axis that has been spoken to from time immemorial. The great revolving of our universe about a great axis. And sense where that axis is and home in on it with tremendous speed. And as you get close to it, sense where its midpoint is, the very center of that great cosmic axis, which the totality revolves about. And when you come to that midpoint, slow up and visualize your celestial sanctum there, which may be an inspiring temple. It may be a stupa, or a mandir, a gurdwara, a synagogue, a cathedral, or not a religious temple, but a mystical temple, such as the Temple of the Grand Lodge of the Rosicrucian Order in Rosicrucian Park in San Jose, California, or maybe an inspiring place in nature, maybe a great outlook over a cliff down to an ocean or the Great Lakes, and you can see the myriad waves below, giving a sense of the infinite. Or maybe a beautiful meadow or a mountainous area, some inspiring place in nature to you. Fill it in detail with your senses, the sights and the sounds. Give it a reality. Make it real for the outer nature. At this very center of your being, at the very center of the cosmos. I'll give you some time now to fill that in. There may be beautiful symbols like stained glass or incense. Fill it in further. And when you have it well filled in, feel the exhilaration of being in this inspiring, highly spiritually charged place. You can sense other spiritual seekers beside you, some of the Rosicrucian order. You sense the imperative of our order with the Grand Masters conducting a mystical convocation. Dwell now there in profound peace, or as the Rosicrucians say, peace profound. We use great inner strength to rise to this place, but now surrender the inner nature to the divine within and dwell in the deep stillness. If you find your mind wandering, just lovingly, gently bring it back to your rhythmic breath at the heights of the celestial sanctum. As you dwell in this deep stillness, be open to feel whatever there is to feel. Just practice non-avoidance. Thoughts come, just note them and come back to the breath. Enjoy the great tingling of the life force and cosmic essence in your body as you breathe. Now, for adders and sorors and participants, to further charge this experience with cosmic experience, we'll conduct the meditation exercise of Jacob Boehme that I described. To prepare yourself for this at the heights of the celestial sanctum, you may wish to picture a clock face on the midsection of your body. And down near your solar plexus, you may wish to picture that's where the number 6 is on the clock face. And over towards your right arm, not too far from your right armpit, you can picture the number 9. And then up near your throat, the number 12, and then lower down towards your left side, left armpit, the number 3. We're going to take 3 windings around our heart, starting down in the place of Cancer, the south, near the solar plexus. We're going to wind up counterclockwise from the 6 up to the 3, and then up to the 12, and then over to the 9, and then back to the 6 again. So that was just an explanation. Now try it. You may wish to picture it as a white light or a yellow light winding for the first time counterclockwise around you. But as you go in, gradually spiral into the heart. We're going to go around 10 times. So just make your first spiral around the heart. As you reach down towards the solar plexus, be a little above it now because we're spiraling into the heart. Come around and do your second spiral. And continue this 10 times. We can do it in silence. When you finally reach the heart, the place of the tetragrammaton in the Master Mystic's diagram. Keep spiraling around. Feel the energy of the vital life force, the cosmic essence, build as you do this. So keep spiraling around the decatur 10 times, closing in closer to closer as you wind around the heart. Feel the intensity of the energy building as you approach the heart. And when you reach the heart, dwell in stillness again. Feel whatever there is to feel. Now for riders and soarers and participants, now that we've ascended the heights of the celestial sanctum and done the great winding of the heart, let us apply these spiritual operations that have prepared us to radiate love and well-being even more strongly out to all those who have petitioned the Grand Lodge of our order for assistance, and all those for your affiliate bodies who've petitioned your Metaphysical Aid Committee, and all those you know who are in need of assistance for health and well-being, and all sentient beings throughout the cosmos who are in need of assistance. Radiate love and well-being from your heart, fully charged now, and from your mind. Let it flow out with great energy. Great sense of love and wholeness. Just let it flow out like the rays of the sun, the center of your being. Use great inner spiritual energy to radiate this outward from your heart and your mind. At a certain point, I think you'll find that it actually speeds up and you'll know that it's being received. Continue to radiate in this fashion. Apply the law of cosmic attunement and the law of service in this manner. At a certain point, too, I think you'll find that you don't have to make a conscious effort to let the radiations continue. Your inner being will take over. And this can be a common practice throughout one's day. Just let it flow. And then when it's flowing easily, dwell in this deep stillness again. Bathed by the radiations from the center of your being at the heart of the cosmos, one with the divine. In In this way, too, we'll continue to feel the effects of the great winding exercise to the heart. I think you'll find too that there's a wonderful tonic effect on your being, for as you give, so you shall receive. The law of cause and effect. As we radiate love and well-being to others in service, we so receive ourselves and help to be made whole and all the more capable to discharge our duties in life and fulfill our mission in this incarnation. Now, before we conclude this period of meditation, we'll first conclude this formal period of the work of the Silent Council in conjunction with the Council of Souls in undertaking metaphysical aid and radiating love and well-being to all others. We can say, if it pleases the cosmic, it is done. So be it in truth, so mote it be. But within our inner being, we'll let this radiation continue as a way of life. Now let us continue to dwell in the deep stillness, the heights of the celestial sanctum, and we'll soon make our descent. Now let us apply the law of gratitude. I invite you to express your gratitude for this opportunity to be of service and to be involved with the work and worship of the Rosicrucian Order Amorc. Be all the more capable of fulfilling our mission in life. And all the more ready after this presentation to face what we need to face with strength and well-being, guided by the God within, the Master within, and its infinite resources. Now let us begin our descent from the heights of the celestial sanctum, down past the myriad superclusters of galaxies, nebulae, and myriad vastness of the space, all the stellar phenomena, and all its beautiful manifestations as quasars and pulsars and binary stars, and the great shafts emanating from some black holes. Faster again, till we see the great spiraling arm of various galaxies, and finally that of our Milky Way galaxy, its great beauty and harmony. And let us go back into the great arm where our solar system and home is. See the myriad stars as we pass until we finally see the great fiery ball of the sun. And then back to the beautiful blue jewel of the earth, the great spiraling weather systems we see on its atmosphere. Back to our hemisphere and continent and country, province or state, and town or city or geographic area. And before we come back to where we were seated or the home where we were, let us say together, may the God of my heart sanctify this attunement of self with the celestial sanctum, so mote it be. And then come back into the dwelling where you are, possibly to the chair where you're lying down. Refreshed and rejuvenated, all the more ready for the work and worship of the day. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and stretch, and we'll begin our presentation proper. Now, the title of our presentation is Meditation in Depth 4. And because the Rosicrucians are very practical and emphasize the mastery of life, we did a meditation first to have that firsthand experience. Because it's always important to have that firsthand experience, because then we are able to get the deeper lesson and then apply it in service to others and guidance. Indeed, meditation is the key and central practice of spirituality and for the mastery of life. Much progress can be made when meditation is practiced daily, like we just did. With this presentation, we're going to do a series of questions, and I'll suggest some answers, and you can think of your own answers. For a Rosicrucian, it's said to be a walking question mark. So don't just accept my answers, but think of the ones that you've heard from others, but also what rings true for you. I think these will be helpful suggestions. The first question that's come to me is, can children meditate? The short answer is yes. The junior convocation of the Rosicrucian Order, AMORC, that is run through various affiliate bodies in our jurisdiction and other jurisdictions, have opportunities for children to meditate and learn how to do it, and get a chance to realize that meditation is highly enjoyable. That's part of the reason why it's been passed down through the ages, through the millennia. There's an openness to explore that children love. Indeed, the child can appreciate meditation as a natural process, part of everyday living. Now, very important, there needs to be an adult modeling behavior. Could be a guardian or parent. As with all practices the children take up, or habits they take up, or laws of subconscious they place as habits. So the meditative practice needs to be modeled by the adult in their life, or adults in their life. That's very important. For example, for a child 3 years up in age, it can be quite feasible, and moving and fidgeting is quite all right and can be part of the process, kind of a moving meditation. Guided meditation can be quite appealing once the child is able to follow storylines, indeed. It can be a great adventure, just like we took a great adventure to the center of the cosmos, to the center of our being at the same time. Now, some children will have a strong affinity to meditation because they recall their spiritual state before they were incarnated or born into this world. And indeed, they may have practiced meditation in earlier incarnations and can feel by these means very much at home with this practice. Indeed, as one source asked me, can a child experience the cosmic sense or the consciousness of the cosmos or cosmic consciousness, that oneness with the cosmic mind? The answer is yes. And this relates quite intimately with children meditating. See, some children in their innocent current incarnation may have even experienced again already quite deeply the cosmic sense or cosmic consciousness. For example, the Oglala Sioux holy person, Black Elk, describes such an experience when he was 9 years of age in his book, Black Elk Speaks. In such cases, meditation will be particularly attractive to the child because in some ways you're looking outwardly at a child, in other ways you're looking at a very advanced elder that is back with us. But any child can do this with the proper modeling of the parent according to their needs and their development. Also, we can say that we can feel deeply at home with meditation at any age because it draws us to our true home that we're ever seeking in all its majesty and fullness. Now, another question we'll deal with in meditation is, can meditation help us experience flow in the body? And the short answer is yes, period. Now, maybe you wondered, well, what does flow mean here? Well, flow is a term used in physiology, kinesiology, and psychology to refer to the various movements within the body. For example, the flow of the blood, the transmission of signals in the nervous system, and breathing and respiration, just to name a few. These I noticed when I mentioned to you during the meditation, to feel whatever there is to feel. When we're in that stillness, we can feel, often to our surprise, a tremendous range of operations and flows that are in our body. Now, it may be thought, well, aren't we trying to transcend space and time and the physical things? We do meditation? Yes, that's part of it. But by the law of correspondence, as above, so below, and so below as above. As we have a richer experience of the operations in our body, just like on a very still pond surface and a small pebble is thrown in and it has those pronounced waves going out. Just when we're still in our body, we'll also feel those ripples very subtly, and we'll start to experience, as Jacob Boehme emphasized in the teachings, we are a great abridgment of the cosmos. And that in that manner, we see these operations in our body. We also can sense the psychic and overall spiritual operations that are in our entire being. So by being good at observing, that actually helps spiritualize us. This is one of the keys to mastership and one of the various important things we learn through our Rosicrucian teachings. And in dwelling in stillness, we have this great sensitivity. And it may be added too, if we have this sensitivity, can it be a strength to help heal the mind and the body? And again, the answer is an emphatic yes. You know, having this allowance lets us to experience even more the operation of the cosmic consciousness within every cell of our body and different parts of our body and that cosmic essence, and to extend far more than we ever thought possible, and to help it to be even more charged and active in those parts and those operations. As one of the clinical psychologists that I work with often mentions from his scientific work in regard to meditation, if you can feel it, you can heal it. And we have the randomized clinical trials to help support that. But this is also one of the wonderful things that we can do in our healing associated with our metaphysical healing, but also the contact healing we lose through our order. I'll mention a few more things on this with an upcoming question before we finish. Another question which takes a somewhat different angle and shift is the practice of meditation a form of spiritual combat? This is a very thought-provoking question. And one could say, well, isn't meditation dwelling in stillness deeply? And then you have that opportunity to commune with the God within. That doesn't sound like combat. And related experience we've talked about in practice of contemplation is where we're in communication with the master within, which is heightened by having that meditation, which is the communion, the master within, the meditation communion, contemplation, the communication, the divine within. But it can happen within the practice of meditation. I was speaking very much of the state of meditation there, but in the practice. So sometimes we have distracting thoughts, and that's all part of the process. Accept them, no matter what comes forward. And I say, feel whatever you can feel, no matter what comes forward. And maybe symbolically over the centuries, the idea of the dragon may come forward. But if we are strong with that infinite nature, if we, the cosmos, embrace the dragon and the life-giving lesson that it has for us, just as past imperator Dr. A. Spencer Lewis encourages us to, we find that these things that can seem to overwhelm the outer self and make it fearful. The inner self knows nothing of these things. The outer self will work as a co-partner with the cosmic. It can deal with these things and much more. Yes, there can be a degree of spiritual combat. There may be certain things that are challenging in our past. There may be sense sometimes psychically pick up the thoughts of others and so forth. But we can transmute these with the infinite vibrations of the cosmic. You see, as powerful as the subconscious is, it's a very minor force compared to the deep richness of the cosmic mind. I know it can be surprising, but once we've experienced these things, it's greatly encouraging, and we're back on track on the mystical path, and we have a full sense of what it is to be a human being. Indeed, there's a form of knighthood in meditation. One of my clinical psychologists I work with, he mentions that there's a form of quiet courage in meditating. Indeed, often we think courage has to take some grand form, and sometimes it does in emergency situations. And even there, the inner self will come forward to us. But there is quiet courage in everyday living and in meditation to maintain the practice and stay on the breath and do it regularly and know that even if you're not experiencing deep experience at that time, that it will come forward. It's building up. Sometimes too, we've overemphasized our physical natures. You know, for spiritual mastership, there has to be a balance. It's not a denying of the senses. It's a balance. It's this harmonium, a beautiful term of the Rosicrucians. But sometimes if we've overindulged in the physical, sometimes during meditation, we'll feel the physical rear itself up to us as a rather impure force in the body. But if we keep coming back to the breath, we will transmute that and purify it. And as it gets charged further with the life force, it can fulfill its mission. It'll be the beautiful thing that it's intended to be as the temple of our body. Also to prepare ourselves for various challenging experiences in our life, where there can be spiritual combat in a way to face and assert ourselves, not in an aggressive way, which is based on fear, but assertiveness, which is based on health and wholeness. There's a way of spiritual combat, yes, some great cause we may be involved with in our life, or in our workplace, there may be challenging experiences with others, or maybe something important that we need to do and face. Whatever it is, that in a way is a form of spiritual combat, and we'll be given strength. We draw on meditation, dwell in the stillness. The God within knows what to do and how to do it. It's up to the outer self to follow through, and it'll be given greater strength than it ever knew possible. That's why often mystics are often viewed as great individuals. It's not that they're stressing their individuality. It's just they're expressing themselves as an individual expression of the cosmic. Now, another question that came up was, what was one of the meditation methods of the Master Jacob Boehme? Well, in fact, we've already answered that. In fact, we've had a firsthand experience of it. That winding around the heart in a way deeply gives us an experience of our microcosmic, macrocosmic experience. That cosmic diagram we're embedding in around our midsection and our entire body, winding into the heart. We're concentrating the cosmic essence to then make us even more able to radiate love and well-being to others in the metaphysical aid. So in a way, that question has been answered, and I'll give you reference later through the group chat for it. Originally, it came actually from one of the supplementary monographs of the Rosicrucian order, which I'll give in the chat as well. Now I'll have a few more questions before we finish up. We have a little time for discussion. Next question is, does the regular practice of meditation have a cumulative effect? And that's an emphatic yes to that. You know, the cumulative effect means that, okay, good to meditate daily, but if, say, you did your meditation later that day than earlier, you'll still have lots of the effect because the evolving, maturing process is continuing, and that's being hastened by the experience of meditation. See, meditation allows us to relax, and that's very important. Our body likes to relax, but our spiritual body is very inclined to it as well. And that part of it is that the parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system are put in a state of balance through the heart rate variability. There's an optimal heart rate variability. The rate at which our heart beats is not so much to be constant, it's to vary in a harmonious way. That in itself helps draw forward a spiritualized enlightenment of our being. Another great thing about meditation that has a cumulative effect is the metacognition that psychologists refer to, that is non-avoidance. You're not avoiding anything in meditation, not trying to suppress things. Be aware, but keep coming back to the breath. This way we'll find in our own life that we're avoiding things less and less in our waking life and through our dreaming life. Another thing that has a cumulative effect is the anti-inflammatory action and pain reduction. As that systemization of the body is enhanced by the flow of the cosmic essence in us, it gets further charged and become more fully into what a human being is as a temple. Another important thing that has a cumulative effect through meditation and through our facing the dragons in our life and the rising like a phoenix is self-acceptance. That's so important. And self-compassion and letting go of self-negativity. Self-negativity has no value. I know we may have a lot of that, particularly from the way we were raised, but part of our work in spiritual combat is to let go of that and move into self-compassion and self-acceptance. And then we'll have the superstructure built to take on the cosmic consciousness, which we're already with. We just need to realize more. But this self needs to be more fully recognized and understood in self-consciousness. And part of that's that self-acceptance and that self-compassion for that journey. Then we have the superstructure for cosmic consciousness. Another thing that has a cumulative effect is anxiety reduction and through a mood elevation. I think you'll find after meditation generally your mood is elevated. Those alpha waves have been activated, and the coordinating different parts of the brain allows you to see things in a new way. The spiritual nature has come forward with its infinite resources, and things that have been challenging us, things that we feel like, oh, I have to do that. It's more like I get to do that now. There's an excitement and a degree of satisfaction to see it through. And we're all more able to live in the present as a way of life, as a cumulative effect. Living in the present lets anxiety fall to the wayside. We're now more prepared to use our faculties, and the things that are causing us anxiousness, see that, oh, I can handle that. I've done that before, or I've seen the new resources to handle that. Living in the present is a very powerful way to do that. But we prepare, yes, in the present. Another thing that helps with these matters and has a cumulative effect is attentional control and cognitive functionality. Our memory improves. We can stay on task more. Meditation has a cumulative effect. We'll find there are increasingly various things of a physical through psychic, emotional, and overall spiritual and intellectual nature we're more capable to handle. Often when there's complexity, our inner nature can break through to clarity, see the underlying unity on them, distill what needs to be done. Another great thing that helps and it has a cumulative effect is enhancement of our sleep. Our sleep is richer and deeper, more informative through dreams and so forth. And that epidemic worldwide of lack of sleep has all sorts of effects on our health. That is countered as well through meditation. Indeed, that meditation exercise we did, in effect, indirectly helped us catch up on our sleep if we need it. Another important thing that has a cumulative effect is immune boosting. The immune system is much more strengthened. Those inner guardians of the body are much more active. These are some of the things that are built up and activated and have a cumulative effect. And so, and they all have a spiritual nature to them. And indeed, one could ask, with all this, does this building effect involve our purpose in life and mystical union? And indeed it does. Because this well-being and health and in fact, our wholeness in a spiritual sense, an overarching sense. This unity and integration of all our faculties, from the physical through the psychic and spiritual, give us an increased rapport and identification with the master within, the divine within, and allow us to see clearly our purpose in life and move into the mystical union and full realization, oneness with a cosmic mind, and self-mastery and experience of harmony. So in conclusion, I'll say we've covered some common and not so common questions on meditation, and we've continued our exploration of how meditation makes for the most direct and wise counsel and sure counsel in our daily lives, and increases our well-being and capacity for service. Thank you.